Today, I'm going to teach you how you can actually become disciplined and stay disciplined. No hacks, no tips, no gimmicks. And it all kind of boils down to one word, and that is why. Just like many of you, I struggled with discipline for like 20 to 25 years of my life. I couldn't get out of bed unless I absolutely had to. I couldn't do the things that I knew were good for me, like meditating, going for a walk, eating healthy. I used to love just jumping in the car, going through the drive-thru and getting takeout each and every day. And I used to love wasting hours upon hours on social media. And spoiler alert, that wasn't good for my health. Wasting away your days when you actively know that you're wasting away your days is not a fun place to be. Especially since I thought I wanted to do these things, right? Meditate, journal, eat healthy, work out, work harder, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. Instead, I was stuck in this endless downward spiral, wondering why I just couldn't sort out my life. And honestly, it just didn't make any sense. We have all these super disciplined alpha males telling us that we just need to be more disciplined. Then we get a sneak peek into their lives and we see all they've accomplished, and they say that it came from their expert level disciplined. And of course, all that's really doing is making the situation worse. When you constantly watch videos telling you that you're just not disciplined enough, you just don't want it bad enough, you're not working hard enough, and while simultaneously they're showing their beautiful houses, their cars, their girls, and they're telling you you just don't want it bad enough because you don't have discipline, what do you think that actually does? All the guys that are watching this video, the ones that are actually trying to be better but failing, the ones that are watching these other videos, what do you think it's going to do? It's going to make them feel hopeless and decrease their self-worth. But what if I told you all of these alpha males, all of these Andrew Tates of the world didn't get there through sheer brute force willpower alone? Because spoiler alert, they didn't. Because willpower is a limited resource. Which brings me to Roy Baumeister's chocolate and radish experiment. Imagine you're in this room with all these freshly baked cookies, waffles, cakes, all those calories our monkey brains crave. But there's always a but, isn't there? Instead of actually being able to walk over there and eat those delicious freshly baked choc chip cookies, those waffles, those cakes, you have to sit down and eat a fucking radish.
We must starve.
Well, starve then. Good riddance.
So they threw a bunch of participants in this very room. And in this very room, some participants weren't given any instructions at all, so they could just toss the radishes to the side and eat whatever they wanted. Whereas other people had to sit down and eat that fucking radish, and then they had to sit there and resist the temptation of eating the cookies, cakes, and waffles. Afterwards, Baumeister's team gave the participants a second, supposedly unrelated exercise. It was a persistence, aka willpower testing puzzle. And what they found was the people that had to sit there and eat those radishes while resisting the goodies gave up way faster than the others that didn't. Why? Because those radish boys used up all of their mental energy resisting those snacks on the table. So straight away, the first thing you can do is start being more greedy with your mental energy, with your willpower, with your decision making. That's why so many millionaires, billionaires, entrepreneurs wear the same t-shirt over and over again, eat the same meals over and over again, because it's one less thing they need to think about and use their mental energy up on. That said, whilst it's a great place to start, it's not enough, obviously. We're going to talk about your subconscious programming. So if all of these people relied on sheer willpower alone to get to where they are, it actually would have ran out just like it does for the rest of us. The real reason behind this seemingly effortless discipline is because our minds are programmed to do so. And when something is part of your subconscious programming, it just becomes the default. And that means you don't need to use your willpower. Why? Because you actually don't need to resist anything. Whereas you have to actively resist your current programming to do the things you would love to do. But imagine what you could achieve if working out or being productive felt as effortless as eating a bag of Doritos. Imagine if all of those bad habits simply disappeared and you had leftover willpower that you could tap into. If that was the case, would there be anything else standing in your way besides time from getting you to achieve your goals, achieve your dreams? And that right here is the level that the quote unquote high performing men are on. You know, the guys that preach discipline, all of these gurus. The only problem with these gurus is they seem to be wholly unaware where their discipline comes from. The truth is it comes from their subconscious programming. So what do? They just preach, just be disciplined, bro. And they think that's good enough advice, but it's not really. So the first reason and the main reason why you actually haven't been able to be as disciplined as you like, and that is your reasons suck. And I know what you're thinking, no, Simon, I have great reasons to be disciplined. Okay, so that's why you're watching this video, is it to confirm what you already know? I don't think so. I also thought that I had great reasons to be disciplined, you know, when I was playing Counter-Strike for 40 hours a week. Because of course, if there's one thing our egos are good at doing, it's convincing us that our reasons for not doing or doing the things we're doing are good enough. But I hate to break it to you, it's simply not the case, because if that was the case, you wouldn't be here watching this video. Our brains will find the easiest path to the outcome it desires. Say you want to be successful, right? And your reasons are, I want to be successful so that I can have the freedom and power to do the things that I want to do. And let's say these things are playing games and catching up with girls and having sex with them. Do you know what your brain's gonna do? Your brain's gonna go, well, look, you can just play games now and watch porno. And you trying to resist those things is just gonna use up that willpower. And this is why so many people need to watch those motivational videos over and over again, because they don't have good enough reasons why. So how do you detach from this bullshit? What I found, one of the best ways it works is through meditation. Now, I know a lot of people think meditation is a load of bullshit, so on this video, I'm not gonna go too deep, but maybe I'll do that in another video. But there's obviously a reason so many people recommend it. Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Tim Ferriss, and a whole bunch more. Why would they do it if it doesn't work? Don't knock it until you try it. For anybody wondering, I do this thing called transcendental meditation. It's simply a fancy word for saying that I focus on my breath and a mantra. I basically do it for about 20 minutes in the morning, and all it does is help me focus my mind. That said, in order to actually rewire your mind to be more disciplined, you need to change your reasonings. Now, there are two types of reasoning: what you're working towards and what you're running away from. And in this video, we're going to be talking about what you're running away from. Why? Because it's so much more convincing. The mouse that's running away from the cat that wants to eat it is going to run a lot faster than that mouse that's running towards peanut butter. And in order to do that, you need to think about what happens if I don't be disciplined? What happens if I don't change? And not just today, not just now. What will my life look like in 5, in 10, in 20 years if I do not change, if I don't become disciplined? The truth is, stagnation sets in if you don't change. And stagnation is a fancy word for gradual decline, and things get worse and worse over time. And you have to take that, like I said in the last discipline video, and you have to focus on that pain. If you don't change, if you don't become disciplined in the next 5, 10, 20 years, what is your life gonna be like? And really focus on that pain and envision it. And then that is that hypothetical cat I spoke about. That is the thing you're running away from. Then you need to figure out what you're moving towards. What are your goals in life? And whatever they are, I promise you, they are not good enough. Take your goal and ask yourself why 5 times. And fair warning, 5 times is probably not enough. Whereas my mentor, he used to tell me that when you've got a goal, you need to ask yourself why you want that goal at least 200 times. For example, I get up at 4:30 a.m. every morning, and I was having a chat about it with a friend. He was telling me how he struggles to get up in the morning. Like many people, he'd wake up at say 5 a.m, then he would hit snooze and wake up again at about 9 a.m. And he was asking me what my secret was, did I have any hacks? And then I just asked him a simple question: why do you want to get up early? And his answer was super generic: I want to get up early so I can be more productive, so I can work out more, yada, yada, yada. So I asked him, why do you want more time of the day? It's not like waking up at 9 a.m. and going to bed at 1 a.m. is any different than waking up at 5 a.m. and going to bed at 9 p.m. There's no difference at all. But he couldn't really give me an answer to that. So there's no fucking wonder why you don't have the discipline to get up in the morning. If you don't have the reason why would you get up in the morning? So what were my reasons? Why did I get up early? Well, look, I wanted a certain level of financial freedom so that I could support my family. I wanted to be a great role model, and I wanted to get up early so I could focus on my dreams and goals, and the list goes on and on and on. And on the flip side, if I didn't get up early, I felt like I was wasting away my life. And that was immense pain. Thinking about not being a role model, not being able to support my family, I'd literally think on that and it would cause me so much immense pain. So what did I do? I had no other choice but to get up early. Now, I'm not saying that you need to get up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I'm aware that's quite early. I mean, I actually go to bed earlier than my 12-year-old self did. What I'm saying is you need solid reasons for the things you're doing, otherwise it's never going to happen. So get out a piece of paper, get out a Google Doc, and write down the reasons why you want your goal. And keep on writing, keep writing and writing, because I guarantee you, your reasons aren't good enough. If you don't know what you want, if you don't know what you're working towards, you're not gonna know what scrolling TikTok for 3 hours is stealing away from you. And I doubt you're gonna be able to do this in a few minutes, in a few days, in a few weeks even. So just keep prying and prying and prying until you get to the reasons of why you want what you want. Like I always say, create a crystal clear vision of the life you want for yourself and the people that you care about. Then as you visualize this, as you develop the reasons why you want, what happens is you start to reprogram your mind. And then what happens is you get exactly that. Because when you figure out why you want to get up early, when you figure out why you want to be more disciplined, when you figure out why you want to work out more, when you figure out why you want to eat better, when you figure out all these things, you're going to develop compelling reasons, and then your monkey mind, your brain is going to go, okay, well, that is what I need. And then what happens is you reprogram your subconscious mind, and then it becomes the default. Which brings us to phase 2, shifting your identity. So I just wrote a video about atomic habits, and one of the key points is identity change is the North Star of habit change. And for this, we're gonna need a little diagram. Outcomes are our goals, the things we strive for. Processes are our habits. And at the center of all of this is our identity. And our identity is the way that we see ourselves. Now, normally most people focus on the outcome in the hopes of changing our identity, right? What James says, the guy who wrote the book, is the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of our identity. So instead of focusing on the outcome in the hopes of changing our identity, we focus on changing our identity, which will result in changing the desired outcome. And why is that? When we make changes for outcomes only, we only make changes temporarily. They don't normally last. For example, because I want to be disciplined, I won't play COD today. Because I want to be disciplined, I won't go to the gym today. Because I want to be disciplined, I'll work that little bit extra today. Which is great for the moment, but as soon as you feel like you're disciplined enough, what's going to happen? You're going to fall back in that old habit again. Instead, to solve problems long term, you actually need to change your identity. You need to change the way you see yourself and change who you are at the core. So in this case, as you begin working on everything, as you begin getting rid of those bad habits, you need to actually see yourself as a disciplined person. So instead of saying to yourself, I want to be disciplined, so I'll go to the gym, say, I am disciplined, that's why I go to the gym. I am disciplined, that's why I eat healthy. I am disciplined, that's why I work harder. And after all, the goal isn't to be disciplined until you reach X goal, it's to be disciplined full stop. And then since our brains love doing the things that reinforce what we believe, every disciplined action you take will reinforce that identity of yourself as a disciplined person. And the funny thing is, it will give you a little dopamine hit as well. And remember, whenever you're feeling lost, whenever you feel like you're struggling, stop, take a break, and think about the reasons that you want to become a disciplined person. Because at the end of the day, you're just doing what you need to do to get the life that you want and avoid the life that you don't want. All right, you got this. And there you have it, how to actually build discipline. It's kind of like losing weight. It looks easy on the surface, but it's a lot trickier than most people realize. You need to figure out what you want and why. You need to figure out what you don't want and why, and then you need to change your identity accordingly. Now, if that sounds a little tricky, too big of a task to start with, maybe you can start with some discipline hacks instead. And lucky for you, I created a video about exactly that. Ba-dum-bum-tsh.